Hey guys, I am Pella, and like it or not, we are going to talk about attitudes today. So we hear this expression, like it or not, in the context of being forced into some situation or an activity of which we are not particularly interested. The thing I always appreciated about this statement, though, is that it gave an edge of permission for free will. This thing will happen, but you don't have to like it. You can choose to enjoy it or to be miserable in it. Last week, we discussed pushing new things into our life for our own benefit. But how do we respond when we get forced into a situation that we didn't necessarily choose? Acceptance. Accept means consent to receive. That's a pretty important step, right? Giving yourself permission to accept new information. The next step is necessary, but can be procrastinated. The first step, whether gaining the information visually, audibly, or telepathically, must be processed so that you know what to do next. That second step implies inaction or action, depending on the decision made from the initial accepted information. As a computer cannot respond until it receives a command, our brains must first receive the information in order to decide. Struggling to accept the information can result in difficulty processing it. So, in the midst of all this receiving and accepting and deciding and acting is another influence that could be more influential than the information itself. How do we ease this process of accepting that which we would rather not? Attitude. I've had to do an attitude check on myself recently. I had gotten pretty negative in my mind about the flood of things being forced into my life that I don't want. For example, in this second year of COVID-19 season, I find myself, like many of you, tired of the whole thing and mad that we haven't reached a solution yet. I'm also concerned about the removal of women's rights and the changes in Texas elections. Americans fight hard for our own rights, just to be denied by legislators. But then I am reminded of Celie. In The Color Purple, Celie hated her life, but she accepted it because it was hers. In the midst of pain and suffering at the hand of her abuser, she chose love, happiness, friendship, and hope that her sister would return to her. She accepted new opportunities and each gave her a little boost of courage to seek the next. But she chose to have that faith. She chose to believe in goodness. Mark Twain said, "Don't part with your illusions. When they are gone, you may still exist, but you have ceased to live." Our attitude is how we decide to view the world. We can support a spirit or drag one down just as easily as the other, but we decide. And daily we create these illusions that motivate us to make that first step toward action. These illusions are what fill our lives with purpose. Our world's forward leap with technology lacks the maturity to manage it properly. We've got people working so hard to get ahead that they can't realize the destruction in their wake. Our mental health is suffering as a result. As a people, we're struggling to connect to ourselves and to acknowledge the truth. Hype is so easy to accept because psychologically it's designed to make us feel good, but it's junk food for our mind. As our social lives are gradually inundated with more information and less personal interaction, we must focus on our own attitudes toward ourselves and toward our quickly changing world. I'd like to read this, and it's titled Attitude by Charles Swindoll. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude, to me, is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failure, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. Thank you for listening.